Thank you. Hi, Shannon. So this one let you get in okay, like as a co-host? You're muted.
Now, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, I just clicked. I don't know what happened. I had some massive email issues the other day.
Oh, no.
It was like, yeah, IT had to freeze my account. It was a nightmare.
Oh my gosh, no way.
We got it fixed though, so yeah.
Okay. I'm sharing right now, or I'm sharing my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Want me to let people in already, or you want me to wait?
Wait just a second, because I started recording. Let's see, pause recording. And it just told you that it's being recorded. So, all right, friends. So we're going to get started with our Balanced Literacy Summer 2020 Virtual Teaching PD for Kinder. One thing that we decided to try when we were building these trainings is to incorporate some strategies or some strategy ideas that would hopefully work well in your grade level. So this is one of them. So there's two of those strategies on this page. The first one is a scavenger hunt. You can create a scavenger hunt. It's a great icebreaker. It's a way you could organize your kids into groups for thinking, or just a way to have fun, a closer or an opener to a lesson. And also timers. See this timer here? We cut and pasted a few of them throughout this presentation, and you can copy them and drop them into lessons that you build or presentations that you build too. So they seem to work well, like with Kinder and giving kids time limits and notifications. So those are there. So we're gonna do the scavenger hunt icebreaker. It's like a little way to kind of, this is going to organize us into a group later on. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is when I click the timer, you're going to run in your house and you're going to find one of these objects, either a toothpick, an oven mitt, a coaster, or lip balm. And then you're going to come back to the chat and write your first, last name, your school site, and the name of the object you found in the box. Okay. On your marks, get set, go. So that's our icebreaker. So now just remember what you've got, because that's going to give us a little bit of guidance when we're kind of breaking up, looking at some different things in our later on in our training. So that brings us to housekeeping. There's a few things, and if you've been to a session, you may have heard about a few of these items, but Shannon is going to drop in the chat the link for the parking lot. So you can kind of, if you want to keep that window open and kind of leave it off to the side or behind your presentation, you can keep that open. But what you're going to do is you're going to click on this link right here. It's going to open up and you're going to see that other teachers have already, I'm going to actually change the title of this, all the Kinder ELA sessions. So these are the parking lot questions that teachers ask. So you can just put your cursor in one of these numbers and you can kind of type your question that is kind of outside of the content of ELA, other things that you're wondering about in terms of reopening, logistics, buses, whatever those questions are that I likely do not have the answer to. So you might want to kind of just keep that open off to the side. And if you ask a question I don't know the answer, I'll just remind you to go to the parking lot and put it on there. So that's so that you can just kind of keep open and off to the side. So the other thing that we already talked about is that this session is being recorded for viewing at a later date. It's going to be posted in the EdTech website that we're going to look at later on under the heading for summer, Virtual Summer Institute. And so there should be a bank of all of our presentations there. Attendance is, Shannon she manages the chat and she kind of checks the roster to make sure who's in our session is signed up for the session. And so she's kind of looking through the list and she's just checking your names against it. So if you haven't changed your name yet, and your name on your Zoom screen, you're something else, or your EG8277-3, then go ahead and change it. You can do it two ways, by either clicking participants and going to more by your name and then clicking rename, or you can hover in the right-hand side of your screen, the picture of yourself, click the three dots and then select rename. And then participants during Virtual Summer Institute are let in during the first 20 minutes of the session, but after 20 minutes, new participants won't be let in. If you do get kicked off, like if your Wi-Fi fails or something like that happens, and you're in the waiting room, just be patient. Shannon has to just verify that you were here before she lets you back in. So if it takes a minute, that's why. And then at the end of the first session, at the end of this session, if you've taken any other sessions, you probably already know this practice, but you're gonna fill out an evaluation that will provide a link for you. And the sign out form is for payroll purposes. You wanna make sure that you hit the link. Anyway, click the link and fill that out so that you can make sure that your attendance is verified and you are paid. So Shannon, are there any questions in the chat so far that I need to address?
No, just people wanted the presentation link, but that's going to be posted at a later time.
Yes, so I'm going to go ahead and post the presentation in a little bit. So we're going to be dropping links into the chat so that you can kind of just click right on the hyperlink that you need. And then later on in the presentation, I'm going to drop the link in for the presentation so that you can make a copy. Okay. So our norms are the same pretty much as they are for in-person trainings. These 2 hours we're together is a safe space to learn. We talked earlier about giving grace, and this is a very new training situation for me. I would not describe myself as a technologically advanced person by any means, and it's been a crazy learning curve. So I sometimes, you know, get a little bit stuck with the technology, and I really appreciate the grace that's granted to me. So safe space to learn for all of us. Make sure your technology is ready, that it's charged, and or you have your charging cord nearby. And in this time of just unusualness, we're going to ask that everyone just be open to figure out what works. There's, you know, frustration to kind of making this fit like an early childhood model. And I think like with the creativity, and I just hear these amazing ideas from people out there that I am so confident we can make this work the best way that we possibly can. And then we just ask that you engage, like put things in the chat, ask questions when you need them. And that one of the virtual norms is to just make sure that you're muted. And then at kind of towards the end of our training today, we'll have some time just to unmic yourself and ask questions, or if you want me to show you something specific. I don't have a training after this one and I can stay on, or you know, we can kind of chat. So during the training, just use the chat feature to ask questions, and then I'm going to pause every once in a while to check with Shannon, and because I can't really see the chat and I can't really see you. I can only see about like 2 people right now. So those are our norms. If you attended a math session yesterday, you've probably seen this training, but we are going to go ahead and play it. It's a message from Mark Lukey, and kind of about our year. Nope, that was not the right button to push. All right, here we go.
Good morning and welcome to Summer Virtual Institute. I appreciate and thank all of you for joining us this week and willing to learn with us as we lean into a new year of learning with our students. This is not the instructional program that we had hoped to accomplish this year in terms of our students starting the year in a virtual format. But I believe that together we will build a strong instructional program to support the students of our district. So I want to speak a little bit about the importance of this week's learning with respect to our instructional program and emphasize a couple of key points for us before we start today. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize the importance of understanding what the state is requiring of school districts this year, in that there are a set number of instructional minutes that we must adhere to. It is our goal that through the virtual nature of our instructional program over the first quarter, that we can rise above and beyond those minimum minutes, ensuring that our students receive ample in-person to the best of our ability instruction, meaning synchronous learning, where we are zooming in with our students online, supporting them, teaching them, equipping them with the skills to be successful in this virtual format. And then we are also balancing that with what we call asynchronous time, where we are assigning kids to complete assignments through many of our instructional tools and resources, while we as teachers and educators work in small groups with students who simply need more time with intervention. And so you are going to receive a lot of information from our instructional services support team. You are going to receive a lot of tools and resources to support you with the instructional design of our program for this year. Just know that we're in this together. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other, and let's work together to make the very best and strongest instructional program for our students. So once again, thank you very much. I look forward to learning with you this week, and I look forward to a successful school year. Thank you.
Okay. So 2 of the words that Mark mentioned are 2 words you're going to be hearing a lot of this year, I'm sure, are the words synchronous and asynchronous learning. And we're going to be talking about synchronous and asynchronous learning and what that could be looking like in kindergarten. So And our core priorities that the district has set, we really want to emphasize that these are the same. Our goal is to maintain these priorities, like even through virtual learning, no matter the context of the teaching that we're doing, that these core priorities remain for us, and we strive to be just as awesome virtually as we are in-person teachers. So, so these core priorities don't change for us, even with the unusual situation that we're in. So that brings us to the purpose of why we're doing what we're doing today. So we're going to learn really about how to use a balanced literacy framework in any context, whether we're at home teaching, whether we're got kids in front of us, or a small group, or kids are learning on their own, doing an activity on their own through their Google Classroom. So we're going to talk about different ways to make sure that we kind of maintain a balanced literacy approach. And then we know that we'll feel more successful when we can really look at some resources and help us just kind of begin to understand how to do that and to support their learning. And we love this quote from We Are Teachers. Whatever happens, it will be rocky and imperfect. We'll get it wrong before we'll get it right. And we will have the opportunity to demonstrate the grace and flexibility and resilience and creativity that we hope to build in our students. And isn't that the truth? I feel like, I know for myself, I definitely feel that in my life. So at the beginning of this session, I mentioned that we kind of dropped in a couple strategies for you to try. And on this page, there is another one. It's a little hidden, but Shannon, if you could drop the link that goes in with this one, it's the speech to text, I think, link, and it's probably under the slide in the little notes section. But what you're gonna do is when that link goes into the chat, you can click on the link and it's gonna open to a Google Doc that's gonna force you to make a copy. And I learned this strategy from Jennifer Scott, and I just thought it was really cool and could be used in TK and Kinder, and it's called voice typing. And so I'm just gonna show you how to do it, and then I'm gonna give you a minute to try it. And so I just made this Google Doc that has the directions. So you're gonna click on Tools and then Voice Typing. And then when you're ready, you click on the microphone to talk. This is saved in your own drive. It's not shared with me. I can't see it, so this is just for you. And you're gonna consider these questions and just talk aloud through these questions. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like when I do it. So I can click on Tools. I go down to Voice Typing with the microphone. Then the microphone pops up here. And when I'm ready, I can put my cursor here. And then I can click this and then talk about these questions. So this year makes me feel nervous because I'm wondering how best to support people as we move into a virtual format. But I'm most excited about the creativity and the collaboration that I see around me, and the tribe of people that I've leaned on, and all the new learning that I've been able to do. And then when you're done, you can just click that off. And it's not completely perfect, but in our TK training, we talked about how you could post a funny picture at the top and then ask kids to tell what they noticed about the picture, or something like that. So we were thinking this could have a great, this could be a great tool to teach our kinder students to use. So I'm gonna give you a minute and have you go ahead and click that link in the chat and play around with that. And we'll come back together in about 2 minutes. Oh, okay, I see. Allison, you're on your phone. That's okay. Yeah, it's, you would definitely need your computer. And then Karen, let me open it up again and see if I can show you again. So when you click on the link, and it forces you to make a copy. And then you should see up at the top here, it'll say tools. And when you click on tools, that should take you down to this voice typing, and then it should set it up for you. And the link is in the chat, and I see that Shannon put it in the chat again. So if you didn't see it the first time, it's there again. So once you're done kind of playing around with that, just let me know what you think in the chat. Shannon said she thought it was very cool. Matt said it's very interesting. We loved playing around with it and putting different silly pictures up. And then I had my daughter practice it and just kind of speaking and talking about the picture. And especially like in TK with the teachers I work with, one of the big goals is for them to be able to communicate their ideas. So we just thought that was a great tool to use. And it does type in Spanish. Yes, it does. You can change the language. So just felt like that's kind of a high utility tool. It should work for your EL students. It's an opportunity to get them talking. You can put any silly picture in there. And one of the TK teachers even said, oh, I could even put 3 pictures and kids could tell the story or retell the story and it would record it. And I see, yeah, Matt says, I hope they talk and not their parents. Me too. Me too. And oh, it doesn't show on your iPad. I'm not sure about how that works on Apple products because I am in my Google Drive, so I don't know if like Google Docs works on Apples or Macs. Yeah, okay. So it should work on when your kids get a Chromebook that's checked out. I will demonstrate it again. When your kids get a Chromebook that's checked out, it will work in their Chromes if they are getting something, a device from school. Okay, I'm going to show you again really quick. Let me close this practice one out. So I created a link for you to try, but all you have to do, this works in Google Docs only. It doesn't work in slides. So when you're opening a Google Doc, so now we're just in like a regular Google Doc. You'll want to teach your kids how to do this, of course, like where to go. So you put your cursor here. And you'll click on tools right up here. And then you can come down here to voice typing. And then when you're ready to record, you just click on the microphone and it will turn red. And then it will record what the child's saying. Okay, so Shannon, let me check in with you and see if there were any other questions.
No, somebody asked if it had instructions every time, or is it on a blank page?
Oh, it is, that page that I made was just like the Google Doc. I just typed the directions out so you could see it. So now that you, when you open it, you can, it should be added to your drive. And so now you should always have that little direction sheet. I'll also say in a few minutes, you may have, if you took a tech training, you may have, the tech team may have showed you a spot in our EdTech website where you can go and there's like student tutorials. This is one in the kinder group that I was with yesterday. This is one that they said, oh, maybe they could make a tutorial teaching kids how to do this. So I'm going to show you where that is on the website when we get to the website too. So the tutorials are great for adults and they're great to use with students. And then I did get a message from a friend who said she can't see the presentation or the like the Zoom meeting anymore, and it is I am so bad at providing tech support, but I can.
I'm back in. I'm back in.
Oh, you're back. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And
Okay.
just in case anybody wants to know, it can record dogs barking.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
There's like quite a few woofs in mine.
Yep. That no probs. No probs. I'm gonna mute you, Karen. Okay. Oh, you did it. Good job. Thanks. All right. Now, so that we just wanted to drop that strategy in here because we thought it was a really cool one that would be applicable to kinder. So when we were building this training, we were really thinking of the whys, like what were the things that were really driving the training, and it's really kind of these three ideas. There's a lot of concern about learning loss for our children who have not been in a physical classroom building since March, and there were varying degrees of participation, especially, you know, for littles or people that didn't have support at home, and for whatever reason. And then also there's so much to teach in any grade level any given year, and so there's really a need to kind of focus the learning and narrow it and make it into really approachable chunks for us to plan for and for the kids to learn. And then the third big reason was moving into a virtual format or a hybrid format or whatever it was going to be. There's definitely a need for resources to give us inspiration and a launching point to figure out how to do this. So those are really the three reasons that we're doing the training today and the way that it was built, why we built it the way it's built. So when we get into the website, and you're gonna see that the lessons were created around a balanced literacy approach. So you'll see lessons for read alouds, you'll see lessons for shared reads. Guided reading in a virtual format is pretty difficult, and so there's no guided reading lessons. True guided reading really requires the teacher to be sitting next to the child, noticing their eye movements. Are they looking at the picture? Are they checking the text? Are they moving their eyes back and forth? What is their finger doing? And in a virtual format, you can't really observe those things or note those things. We can have small group instruction. It just probably wouldn't be like a true guided reading lesson. So there are not guided reading lessons included in the building out of those resources on the website. And then independent reading, how do we think about independent reading at a time when kids are at home and they don't have access to our classroom libraries? And we just wanted to ask teachers to just kind of be mindful about what are some ways we can ensure that they have some access to books. So we have some digital resources that kids can use. A lot of you I know have seen like Bitmoji classrooms. I've seen some really cool examples online and from teachers in our district that have built out like a Bitmoji slide that is like a library of read alouds, and children can go in and kind of click on them and listen to those being read aloud. So there's just some different ways to kind of be creative to get books, whether they be real books or virtual books, into the hands of kids, so they're getting some experience with story and those wonderful books. All right. Let me see. So all that brings us to this document, and this is where we're going to begin. So when we talked earlier about like the reasons for the training, why it was built the way it was built, this document was the very first thing that was created, and it's called the Essential Standards and Prerequisite Skills. And as we look at this, just this one page, and I'm going to try and make it as big as I can. I'm just going to give you a couple minutes to just look at it. You don't even have to necessarily read it, but just in the chat, drop in some things that you notice or wonder about this page when you just view this page here. So I'll give you a couple minutes to look at it and tell me something that you wonder or something that you notice in the chat about this page. I see a couple questions that you might want to put on the parking lot. I don't know what you'll have access to in terms of Scholastic readers or news, or I know in like if you put together a Bitmoji classroom, I know that there's ways to link things from like Benchmark to that. So I would maybe put that on the parking lot, Jennifer. Stephanie said that it's not an overwhelming amount of info on this document. Write about self stands out in red for Lenore. Shannon dropped the parking lot back in the chat so you can see it. Shannon Petrini noticed that a lot of this can be done with getting to know you activities. And then what else do you notice or wonder about this document? ELD standards are in blue. That's right, Maria. They're added in blue, so they go along with the standard that's there right above it. Matt noticed the essential question off to the side, so kind of that was pulled from the unit. And so those are some things that are, this is really kind of based on the unit. So let me go to the next slide. So these documents probably look familiar. In the ELA units, there's already essential standards that have been selected. And then in the units, there was a separate document that was added last year that kind of lists out like these behaviors that, that we teach to get to this learning and this mastery. And so this document is kind of combined them and also streamlined them and made them even more focused chunks of learning. So these were kind of written into like 6-week chunks of learning. These are 3-week chunks of learning and streamlined a little bit further. And then the behaviors were added here under the bottom. So on this document for kindergarten, I'm going to give you the link in just a minute, but this document, the first half of the document is all English language arts. The second half of the document is all math. And this is basically your roadmap for instruction. Some kids might have come to this with readiness. Some kids might need some support or some prerequisite skills that you need to think about. But this is like what we want to build our lesson plans off of and focus the students' learning around. So Shannon's going to drop this link in the chat. And I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. I have another little timer here. open up that document in another window, and I want you to follow a single strand. So you might choose comprehension or writing or foundational skills, and just kind of follow it all the way down the document through the year and see how that builds over time. And at the end of that 3 minutes, we'll meet back here, and then I'm gonna ask for your thinking about that document. So let me check the chat before I start the timer. So Shannon's got that in the chat. All right, you guys ready? Go ahead and open that document in a separate window, and I'll set the 3-minute timer so you can peruse. All right, so sorry, Matt, I got your message like with 30 seconds to go. It was a loud timer, you're right. I hope you were able to turn down your computer so you didn't have to hear it. Sorry about that. I'll do it for my next group. I'll make sure that I turn it down. I think that'll work on my end. All right, so now it is a bit xylophony, definitely, Karen. Oh, you can still hear it, Matt, even though you turned it down? Sorry. All right, so now what I'm gonna ask you to do is to, I think Shannon has another link to drop in the chat, right, Shannon? I think I gave it to you. And you're gonna click on that link and it's going to take you to some ELA responses that these are from some of our kindergarten teachers yesterday. But go ahead and scroll down to a spot and just kind of put what you're thinking about this document. How do you see yourself using it in planning and in teaching this year? So
Jen, I don't have that link.
Okay, let me see if I can put it in the chat. Okay, try that, you guys. So people are saying it's a great resource to look back on. Some people were saying they could show it to parents. I didn't even think of that. That would be could be a really helpful tool to show to parents. Gives you a guide for what to focus on, mapping out the year. It seems pretty straightforward. Good. Easy to read, good layout. Okay, well, I'm so happy to hear that it looks helpful and simple to use. So I know when I was planning some sample lessons, it was helpful for me to always kind of come back to that and think, is this getting to one of these things, one of these essential standards that have been called out? And so it was helpful in that way. All right, so as you're finishing that up, I'm gonna, I am probably going to skip this, but I just put this in here as kind of like, this might be something that you do in a presentation. I'm sure you all know Go Noodle, but you can put like a little mental kind of break, like a little cool down as a transition, or transitioning to something else, or as an intro to something. And so I dropped this one in here in case you want it, but it's about visualizing a balloon. And so it's just kind of like a calm down activity. So I dropped that in there for you if you'd like to do it. I don't want to run out of time with you, so we're going to skip it. Okay, so now that you've had a little bit of time to look at that essential standards document, now we're going to start to get into some of the resources that were built using that as a foundation. Before I do that, is there anything in the chat that I need to address, Shannon? No? Okay.
No, I don't see anything.
Okay. And then, so when Mark was talking at the beginning, he talked about synchronous and asynchronous. And synchronous is these words we're going to hear all year. But synchronous is like this professional development right now. We're synchronously learning. You're live, I'm live, and we're together. You can ask questions in the chat, or, but it's a real-time interaction. And then, oh, cute baby. And then synchronous learning is when, asynchronous learning is when there might be something pre-recorded. It might be like a lesson that you dropped into your Google Classroom and that the child can do kind of on their own time, like on their own schedule. So those are just kind of some examples, or they may be, you know, maybe off their computer working on something at home. That's an example of asynchronous learning. So when these resources were built out, they were built with the thinking in mind that they could be used at any, during any context. So if the kids are at home and we're in a virtual format, they could be used virtually. If the kids are with us in a hybrid model, or if we're physically with kids in school full day, they could be used in your class. So they were built to be used flexibly and really to provide inspiration and kind of a starting point for people to kind of build some things out for themselves. So we're gonna look at an example lesson plan, and then we're gonna look at kind of the features that really make those lessons a strong shared reading. And then we're gonna look at the actual lesson that you'll find on the website. So when you go to the website, you'll find the lessons were put into like a little lesson planning template, and they all look like this in Kinder. It'll include the date and time frame. This particular one, there were 4 lessons built out that are kind of in this sequence. You can use 1 lesson a week. Again, these lessons are completely for you to, you can make a copy of them, you can change them, you don't have to use them, but if you do use them, you can change them however you want. You don't have to use it the day that it's kind of designated on the website. You have ultimate flexibility in how you use these resources, or if you use these resources. So it'll tell you the type of lesson is a shared read. For in the series, the technology integration should list anything here that's kind of like needed. So these are Google slide presentations, and that's the lesson. The standards from the essential standards document are aligned here. Most of them have a learning intention. Some teachers left learning intention blank that were creating these resources because they just thought the teacher might want to name their own learning intention. And even if there is a learning intention there, you can change it if you don't agree with it or you think should be something else. Some examples of success criteria are here. Material needed, which is a Chromebook for this lesson. Some example questions are here. And then an idea really of what is needed for the student to do in this lesson. They should be able to listen, follow along, and participate. So that's what the lesson plan looks like, and those are in the website for you to view to kind of decide if it's a lesson that you want to look into. So the key features of a shared read that make a quality shared read for any grade level are really these 5 features. And so when we look at the lesson, just notice that all these features are included in this example. The teacher provides explicit strategy instruction. There's a focus on print and meaning, not just one or the other. She provides a think aloud. She uses open-ended questions, and she encourages students, well, at the end, you could say, when you're reading, you can try blah, blah, or look for the letter A's. So this document here, which you do not have to go to, but it is, when I share the presentation, you can see this link. And it basically is a one-pager and kind of includes, when you're building out a read aloud or a shared read, you want to build it to include these elements. So it's kind of a nice reference tool. So now I'm going to click on this Kinder lesson. So this is a lesson that came from week 2 examples on the EdTech website. It was written by one of our Kinder teachers in our district. And as you're viewing it, just think about like the connections between the essential standards and the key features that are right here. Does it note the inclusion of these elements in the lesson? So when you open this lesson, this is what it looks like. It's a simple like 3 slide presentation. The teacher, and I'm gonna also say this before I reference it, because when I saw this amazing lesson, like I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do that. But that's what's so great about it too, is number one, it inspired me to learn how to do some things that I didn't know how to do. I still don't know how to do all the things that this teacher did to create this lesson. But the other thing, in looking at all the resources that people created to put on the website, people did things in lots of different ways. People did things in low-tech ways, people did things in high-tech ways. And that's what I love about all the examples, is they are all varied. So this is one way to do it. So this teacher, when you see this little speaker, she learned how to take a sound recording of her voice and put it in.
For shared reading today, we're going to be reading a poem called We Play.
Okay. And then as the child might be at home doing this. As a teacher, you might have a Zoom happening or a Google Meet with a small group of students, and this might be up, and you wouldn't have to use the speaker, then you could just talk around this slide. So you could use this if you're physically back in a classroom with kids. You could also use this physically back in a classroom with students, but it's projected on your smartboard. So then this slide, there's another recording.
During our shared reading today, we're going to work on making predictions and pointing under words from left to right as we read.
And then she created a little video lesson to go with it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this so we can kind of see the whole continuity of the lesson. Another thing about the lessons, it's really brief. It's about 5 minutes and 40 seconds. So go ahead and listen for
our shared reading today, we're going to read a short poem called We Play. I want you guys to pay attention while I read it the first time and see if you notice anything about my hands while I'm reading. We play. We play in the dirt. We play in the mud. We play in the water. And it is so much fun. Let's have some think time. What did you notice about my finger? Did you notice that I was pointing under each word as I read it? Good readers point to the words as they read. I'm also going to have you guys make something called a prediction. A prediction is a good guess. I want you to predict who you think this story might be about. I heard it talk about playing and mud, so that gives me a couple ideas. Think in your head for a couple seconds. What do you know that likes to play in dirt and mud? We are going to use this sentence frame to help us say our predictions out loud. It says, I predict this story is about blank. That blank spot is where you're going to put your prediction. Watch me make my prediction. So I remember the poem saying something about dirt and mud and playing, and that reminded me of my dog. So I predict this story is about dogs. Now you try it. You say, I predict this story is about, and then put your prediction in that blank spot. Now we're going to read this together. I want you guys practicing using your finger to point to the words. So you can point to your screen and follow my finger while I read. You can catch on too. If you want to read with me, you should go right ahead and try. We play. We play in the dirt. We play in the mud. We play in the water, and it is so much fun. This poem is made up of words. Remember, a word is made from letters. We take letters and we put them together to make words. We're learning so much about letters this week, and we've already learned a lot about the letter A. I want you guys to take a minute and look inside our poem and see if you can find any letter A's. I'm gonna look too. Okay, let's go on an A hunt. I see my first one right up at the very top, inside the word play. There's my A. Now I'm gonna keep going looking for those A's. We play. I found another one. That word's play. Again, we have another play. Does anyone see any other plays? I do, right there. And right there too. So that means we found 2 more A's. Let's circle them. I think that's it. I think we found them all. Wait, you found another one? In water? Oh, I see it now. Whew, okay, great job. We're all done here. Oh, you found another one? Oh, and I forgot all about it. Let's count how many we found. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 A's. Great. Before we started reading, I asked you to make a prediction about who you thought this little poem might be about. I'm going to read it again, and I want you guys to practice your pointing and reading with me, and then we're going to share to see if any of our predictions came true. We play. We play in the dirt. We play in the mud. We play in the water, and it is so much fun. Let's do a prediction check. I like this poem because there could be lots of answers of who it was about. Like I said, I thought it might be about dogs because my dog really likes to play in the mud, and it could be about some other animals. It could even be about some people. I'm going to show you a couple pictures about maybe who you thought it was about. Whatever your answer is, if it's somebody who likes to play in the mud and the dirt, you're probably right. Here's my muddy dog. She loves playing in the dirt and the mud. Maybe it was about pigs. Pigs love to play in the mud. Or maybe it was even about kids. Kids love to play in the mud too. So let's remember what we learned today. We learned that good readers point to the words while they're reading, and we also learned that good readers make predictions when they read stories.
Okay. So,
for our shared reading today, we're going to read a short poem called We Play.
I did it. Okay, so that's just one example of the resources. Now, this is a wonderful lesson. I saw in the chat some people were saying, I love this lesson. But the great thing about this lesson is you could use it. You could take inspiration from it. You could make your own. You could even kind of, you could follow the steps that she uses, but with another poem. So that's really what these resources are meant to be, are a starting point. They are just for you to kind of use the way you see fit and that fits the needs best of your students. So in the chat, go ahead and put some things that, what are you thinking about that lesson? What did you notice as far as like the key features, or maybe how you might use the lesson in your own classroom?
Jen, really quick, it's 9, so we're about halfway through.
Oh, thanks, Shannon. So it gives guidance and inspiration for Delinda. She's building in think time, says Jenny. Yes, she kind of, she pauses. I love those, like, I thought that was really effective, like when you ask a question and she pauses, because in my mind automatically wants to go, no, there's another and, or I think it might have been about so-and-so. It causes like an inner dialogue. And Karen says she likes that it can be used either synchronously or asynchronously. Yeah, a lot of parents work and children may or may not be joining for synchronous learning, so they can use it later. And yeah, I know it's fun to be a kind of Mr. Rogers. I know, I love the, she sounds like Wonder Window. Yes, circling back to review what students have learned and can take to the next reading. And yeah, it was a great format. Like viewing these lessons really helped me understand how I might do this in a virtual way and with these tools and resources. So it has been a really great learning experience for me, and we hope some great resources for you as we move into the year. So now we want to give you some time to explore it yourself. Before I have Shannon drop the link into the chat, I'm going to give you a quick tour of the website. This, if you know anyone that was on the EdTech team or any teachers that worked on any teacher teams this summer, give them a virtual hug, because they worked really hard. There was a lot of production this summer and a lot of hard work done to create these. So this is what the EdTech website looks like. You may have seen it if you've gone to other trainings, but this is the address, go.ucsd.com/DFP. Right down here is the menu of things that are available, and you'll also see that those match these circles here. So to get to, I'm going to come back to this, the how-to tutorials for kids. These are golden, especially for teachers of young children, as we think about like how to teach our kids to do certain things. Members of our teacher ed tech team went through and said, young children need to learn how to drag and drop. So they created like a 1.5 minute tutorial on how to drag and drop items. That at the top of our presentation, that strategy for talking and having it go to print, I'm going to put in a request for them to make a tutorial for children on how to learn how to use that tool in Google Docs. So this is a wonderful thing that you should check out. But going into grade level lessons, you can select your grade level kinder, and then the lessons are organized by weeks. So there's week 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's even some additional, like some extra lessons that are here for you to look at. There is a tutorial about how to use this distance learning site, how to navigate it, and put the resources into files for you. And then there is even a sample Google Classroom that you can join. I found out yesterday, this is still all in the process of being built and refined. So yesterday this was linked to the TK Classroom. So we'll make sure that that gets fixed. But you can enter this code in Google Classroom and join the classroom. That can give you an idea of what it could look like for you. The essential standards document is linked here, and the units that have been created by our district teacher teams are here for math and ELA. Now to go into the lessons, let me just check the chat really quick before I go any further. Yes, the question about the tutorial available in Spanish. They are not currently available in Spanish, but I know that that has been talked about, and we're going to try and problem solve that, because that is another big concern, especially for teachers of young children, to support families and parents. And lots of our families and parents don't speak English as their primary language, so we definitely want to find a way to best support them. Lenore just said that the link is now linked to a Kinder Classroom. So I'm just going to click it to show you really quick. Now, I belong to a few classrooms, so I'm going to click here for the Kinder. Okay. So here's an example of how a kindergarten classroom might look. This is called the stream page. And the stream page, we talked about how we would really want it to be streamlined and really just contain messages to really kind of to communicate to families. Some of the teachers in our teacher work team also said they felt like it was very helpful to have a schedule up for parents, so it was really clear what their kids had to do and accomplish each day in a Google Classroom. And then going into classwork, the assignments are posted here. So there's like 4 assignments for a child to do each day in this example that are also on this daily schedule. So that's just kind of an example of what it could look like for you. Now going into week 1. Oops. So the schedule always appears here, and it's linked. Just loading for a minute. And then here, everything that is kind of lined out here for day 1. So a read aloud with Pout Pout Fish, the letter A, drawing a character, and number recognition, you'll find here. So if you took the tech training, they probably taught you this, but I'll just review it really quick. When you want to take a lesson off of this website and make a copy of it for yourself so that you can edit it, change it, or use it, you want to come here. But before you're even here, you need to set up a system of organization in your own drive and folders labeled however it makes sense for you to send these presentations to. Because if you don't have an organized system in your drive to send the presentations to, they're just going to be all hodgepodge in your drive, and it will be difficult for you to find what you need. So you're going to click on this word. Each of these are going to force you to make a copy of the lesson. And so this is an example of the letter lesson that teaches letter A. Okay. So you will want to, now it says copy, and you'll want to open your file and move it to whatever folder you've set up. I can help you with that later, kind of at the end when we have some questions and answers. But right now, what I want you to do is I'm going to ask Shannon to go ahead and drop the website link into our presentation, into the chat rather. And I'm going to set a timer. You can choose to do this or choose not to do this, but whatever item that you got at the beginning, you can just choose to look at these types of lessons, or you really can just choose to peruse the whole site. So it's up to you. I'm going to leave that to you. So also here, I'm going to ask Shannon to also drop a copy of our presentation. So in this 10 minutes, take 10 minutes to look at the website, take 10 minutes to kind of peruse the get into the presentation and make your own copy. And we will meet back here in 10 minutes. Let me see if there's any questions before you go. Oh, good. Okay, Christine said that the FACE program is creating tutorials, tech tutorials for parents in both English and Spanish. That's awesome. Okay, so Shannon dropped the link for the presentation. I'm sorry, for the tech website, and then I'll also put the presentation link here. All right, happy perusing. This is a silent timer, so. You have about another minute to explore the website. All right, so the timer is done. That was a little shocking end to the timer, if you could hear it. So hopefully you had some good time to kind of look around at the website. I'm gonna take you back to the website to just point out a couple more things. So you had some time to kind of look at grade level lessons. Christine Chapman was in the chat, and she did message if you saw that our FACE department is going to work on translating tutorials and parent support pieces for into Spanish. So that is awesome. And I wanted to click here on the how-to tutorial for kids to just show you really quick that you know, in your Google Classroom or as you're training your kids and you're thinking about what do they need to know virtually to be able to do the things that to, you know, use the lessons that you would create. So here they have created these little lessons, these little videos, like how to right click on a trackpad, how to scroll up and down, how to drag and drop. So they took each little skill, and kind of made a little video lesson to go with it. So I could see how these would be really helpful to put into your Google Classroom, both as a parent resource and as a resource for kids. But what I love is you can go down to the bottom here of this page. Do you see this question mark? The tech team has set it up so that you can click here. If you have an idea for a student video tutorial request that you would love to have made, you can just fill out this form and submit it, and they will make it for us so that we can use it in our Google Classrooms and with our young children. So I just wanted to share that with you because I think that is really valuable for kindergarten teachers and my TK friends as well. So let me check the chat. I see a few things have come up. Oh yes, yes, there are so many great lessons in there. And what's so awesome is you can copy and paste. I was talking to a teacher yesterday and she was like, yeah, you know, when I was talking to my partner teacher, I was thinking, oh, that lesson didn't really, like they would use it in a little bit different way. And they were able to, like they made their own success criteria. They changed kind of something, they changed the task at the end, and that's all good. So it kind of helped them with inspiring them to do something with it. So, so thinking about that website and the resources that are available, we had mentioned at the beginning, like how can we also, the website includes lessons for read alouds, it includes lessons for shared reading, it includes letter work, and it includes some writing lessons. So, but we said it didn't include guided reading, and we also said we want to stay mindful of independent reading. So this slide we included because it does have some things linked, some things that can kind of help promote independent reading. a couple things that I just want to call your attention to. One is this cafe menu for emergent readers, which is a really great tool when you're thinking about determining your focus in your read aloud or your focus in your shared read. These are, this is a great list of kind of lesson focus, so something to think about and kind of create your lesson around for emergent readers. So our students, this is a great tool for teachers to use. And going back into the chat, so it's, Karen said she uses Cafe and Daily 5 now, so it's an easy segue for her. And Jennifer said, I feel so better knowing that I was on the right track last quarter. She said, this is totally doable. It'll take time, but she feels more confident and comfortable. I cannot tell you how good that makes me feel. That that's what I want. That's what we all want, all of us to feel. And when I was talking at the beginning like that, like it is just very, very clear to me that we've just like really got to pull together and use each other's resources, expertise, and brilliance to help each other and inspire each other. So all those links are there. I also included a link. You may have seen this article, it's been kind of a popular article, but 19 things that kinders can do for distance learning. It's got some good tips and tricks there. And so those are there for you to go back to. Lots of these things are, it's a slide that we put in all of our training. So some of them don't apply to kindergarten, but I put a few things in there that are specific to kinder. So now we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about scheduling, and with this, this is, I think, like in the group that we had yesterday, there was a lot of questions about this, and there were some ideas that we got from people yesterday. And I know Christine is with us on this call too, so she could also lend clarification to thinking about scheduling. For the kinder teacher, when we hear about all these minutes that are virtual, we don't mean consecutively, like children. The expectation is not that children are on a device for 180 minutes in a row. So it was helpful for me to think about it like a regular classroom, like when I'm teaching in classes with young children, I'm limiting my teacher talk, I'm doing a 5-minute lesson, and then we're having something for them to practice or something for them to try. So they may kind of go away from the screen and try something, and then come back to me at a later time, just kind of like how we do center time or small group time in our classrooms. So thinking about it in those ways has been kind of helpful for me to wrap my mind around it. I will say, I think it's something that we need to talk a lot more about. And I know if you saw on the parking lot, some people yesterday asked for a sample schedule that really kind of can give you an idea of a day between synchronous and asynchronous learning for kinder and what might be happening. And so, I think that we're going to work towards that because I think that's a great idea. I would love to see that and have conversations with people to kind of help inform that. But here's a couple schedules that I just wanted to put up here. Nothing again that anyone is beholden to. It's just kind of ideas. You might look at this and go, this isn't enough, or this is too much, or I don't know how I could do this with synchronous and asynchronous. And those are all things that we're going to work out. But this is really the schedule that's taken from week 1 in the kindergarten examples. This could be put up in your Google Classroom, and you could use these, like you could open a Zoom, have your children join you, or have 6 children join you. You could do a small group, and you could do synchronous learning with this lesson about pout fish. And then you might want to, at another time in the day, have another group of students or your whole class come together for synchronous learning around the letter A. Or you might assign this lesson because it's been created to support kids that may not have support at home. You may assign it for them to do asynchronously. So the flexibility in how these lessons are built lends themselves to using them in all different ways. So I think it's a matter of kind of like getting a vision for how a day would flow and work in a virtual setting. And the scheduling form, let's see, Karen asked if the scheduling form is in the EdTech site. Oh, the Little Pink Pig is a math program called Freckle that I don't know. We had it last year, or for virtual learning. It was available to kids on the virtual learning website that our district put together for spring. And it's a good one. I had my daughter used it. I really liked it. Maria's asking Christine if kindergarten is going to get crayons inside the tool bag. Oh, multi-ethnic color crayons. That is a great question. I know that they are getting crayons, but I don't know about like skin color type of crayons, like multi-ethnic color crayons. So that is a great question. And if we will make sure that we ask her when she's on here. Oh, no, Christine says they'll receive a standard APAC. Lenore, yeah, they are getting a tool bag. They're going to get a pack to keep at home that has crayons, I believe scissors, I believe a glue stick. I know Christine, I think she knows what is in that specifically. But looking at the schedule, here's a second schedule that, thinking about morning meeting. I was reading an article just about virtual learning in kindergarten, and one of the things they talked about was when you have large groups like synchronous learning, like your whole class, to having morning meeting or calendar is a great thing to do synchronously, and having your songs or music is a great thing to do synchronously as well. And then, then you might launch them off on a getting to know you activity where maybe they're creating something at home and they're taking a picture of it and posting it to Google Classroom at a later time. So I think going through and kind of like thinking about a model of how to be together, then maybe small group, then for them to have access in scheduling is going to be helpful to our teachers for us to kind of envision it. And going back to the chat, yes, phonemic awareness lessons would be a great thing to put in there as well. And Christine said that school sites are going to supply any additional resources other than what she outlined above. So if you want to know what resources are going out to kinder students, you can look in the chat, and I think Christine had listed them above. So I'm going to give you time right now, just a little bit of time to hear. Let's see. So you, in the chat, Shannon had posted the presentation link. So you should have had some time to get the presentation link and save a copy for yourself. If you didn't, can I ask Shannon to just put the presentation link in there again? And once you're in the presentation link, you can kind of go down through the presentation and find this page. And you can, let's see, let me move this out of the way. You can come to this slide and click on, oh, do you ever get a little thing that my little toolbar is covering up my presentation, so I cannot do it, but you can come here to this slide and you can click here. This is not fancy or pretty at all, and people are going to make amazing things, but if you want to make a copy of just a grid kind of calendar to start kind of looking at the website and thinking about laying some things out, you can make a copy of this. You can use this and have the website open and just kind of fill out here, look at the website and look, start deciding maybe, oh, I'm going to use the week 1 day 3 lesson here from SEL or for ELA. So you can have about, we'll say maybe about 7 minutes, and you can, or 5 minutes, and you can kind of look at the website and have this page open as well, and just kind of start making a little list of things that you want to look at or things that you might want to plan out for your day, and kind of just put them on this grid so you kind of have a little bit of a start about what you know you want to go back to and check out in the website and what you may want to plan for your first week. So I'm going to say that we'll come back together at about 9:45, and I'll give you some time to make this again. It'll force you to make your own copy, so that'll be saved in your drive. And you can kind of have just a few minutes to jot some things down that you want to use off of the website. So go ahead and click that link and then open the website and you can start working. Okay, welcome back. So hopefully you just got a few minutes to be able to kind of look at the website and maybe sketch a couple things out. And in about 5 minutes, we're gonna have, Shannon's gonna put up the evaluation link in the chat, if you could do the evaluation. And then after a couple minutes, she'll put the attendance link up in the chat, if you could do that for us. But in the last few minutes, I just wanted to kind of open it up to any questions. So if you have a question that you wanted to ask, you can go ahead and take yourself off mute and ask away. So does anyone have any questions that they wanted to kind of talk about, or anything that they're wondering? Does anyone have any other ideas for tutorials to go for students into the website? My computer is being a little testy with me right now. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the chat. So, oh, Stephanie wants to know if there is a tutorial on how to send a picture to your teacher. No, but that is a great idea for a tutorial for putting on there. I'm writing that one down, how to send a picture or attach a picture. I think that would be
Someone
great.
asked if they could add lessons to the district website.
Oh, that's a good question. Christine, are you on? Do you know how
I
that
am.
works? How does
I
that work?
am, and that is a really, really good question, and something that came up in the last week. All the days are blurry, and we are going to figure out a way to do that. We just haven't wrapped our heads around it at this time, but I love that idea. Okay, well, yeah. Brandon's
anyone-
saying there's some type of tech request. So we're gonna kind of problem solve and work through that, and then we will send that out.
Did you say tech request?
Yes.
Okay, hang on just a second.
Hey, I'm so
I'm in the upstairs conference room and Chrissy is across the room and she's about to start hers. So if you heard someone talking, that was my buddy over here. All right, friends. Oh, Maria wants to know, when do we actually start with ELD lessons, since we don't know their levels the first week of school?
Great question, Maria. And so as soon as you get your, you guys are kinder, so you're going to have initials. So there may be a lag between the time that you know the students' languages or not. But in the meantime, I would promote that you do have language lessons to support English learners. I think that after, that first 3 days, first week, you're kind of building those routines and procedures and the relationships. And if you're noticing you have language learners in your class, I would start as soon as you can. And I know there is a plan to get the initial going the first couple of days. And you kind of have to think, what have you done in the past? We do need to, in the good thing about a kindergarten classroom is it is a language lab. So creating that language lab, providing for collaboration and really focusing on language and having the kids talk and using sentence frames, all of that, you're developing that language.
All right. Oh, there were some questions about official start date. It's not, I know that if you were able to see the town hall last night, our union, they're working that out. They're negotiating all of that right now. So there is kind of a plan in place to begin July. No, wait, oh my goodness, August 17th, right, Christine, or 18th?
It is actually the 17th, but again, that's under negotiations.
Right.
We hope to have that wrapped up in the near future to be able to communicate that with everybody. So yes, the 17th, and I believe they're looking at teacher return date of August 10th.
And then there's another question about BAS. Are we going to be doing that? And I think assessment calendar is still being created, right, Christine?
So with BAS, that we know how highly important that assessment is, especially for our young readers. And we're still trying to work through how we can support that in a virtual learning environment. So we're looking at potentially, and again, this is really going to be, a lot of this is going to be site-based decision making as well, but we're looking at having support staff give the BAS. But again, that has not been finalized, and because it is such a, we're talking, we have to get through the LPAC first and then the BAS. So yes, we are looking at ways to implement the BAS this year. We know that we're going to need to do it, and we just haven't wrapped our heads around how we can implement that in an effective manner without taking away from instruction time, because we've cut the instruction minutes by so much.
All right. Well, if there are, Shannon has put the evaluation link in the chat. So if you could go ahead and click that link and complete the evaluation for this session. And then once you're done with that, Shannon's gonna put the sign out link. She just put it in the chat just now. So you'll wanna go ahead and fill out that sign out link so that you can make sure that you get paid. And I just want to say thank you so much for being with us. And I can say truly, truly, our department is literally constantly thinking of you and thinking of ways to support you and ways to make this year doable, successful, and just as wonderful as it is when we're physically with our kids. So please reach out to us with questions and concerns. And enjoy your day. Thanks for being with us. Oh, thanks, Karen Nguyen. Thanks, Steph. Thanks, Lenore.
Thank you, Stephanie and Shannon.
Yes, thank you, Shannon, for being such a great partner. And thanks, Christine, for joining us and answering questions too. You did, Matt? Oh my gosh. That makes me so happy. Oh. No, we're done. They're just like, we're doing messages. Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, JCB.